It's not often Jason gets to carry just a rifle. He's an accomplished self-filmer, so he's usually got his hands full. Today, a rendezvous with David at UK shooting kit distributor Viking Arms means there's a chance of an early morning outing where all he needs to think about is the shooting.
I've only ever really used them in 270 before, but I shot a lot of deer in Ireland with... Yeah.
Probably a good thing, as he's not had much trigger time of late with new job, new wife and new baby.
It's funny, there's just with lack of opportunity and lack of time, and it took so long for my firearm start to come through. Luckily when it did, Viking have been good enough to loan me this Ruger, and I've really enjoyed actually just getting out and shooting a few targets again. I have missed the stalking a lot. I kind of did so much over the last 4 or 5 years that I didn't miss it for a while, but I woke up 1 this morning and could not get back to sleep with all the different scenarios going through your mind, and that kind of apprehension of the hunt just kind of switches something on in you that, yeah, nothing else really does. It's been a long time.
This morning we're after a fallow buck.
Yeah, it works.
We're on farmland on the North Yorks moors, and as this is the first time David's filmed Jason in the field, it's a chance to tap him up for some top tips. The first is how not to confuse a pheasant with a deer.
That wood could be anywhere from 100 to 300 yards away, so it's quite handy even in this half light just to range the wood, the edge of the wood, so at least you know if it's 150 yards you have an idea of the size you're looking for, picking out. If it's 400 yards you wouldn't see a deer in this light anyway, so ignore it and carry on. But I'll just have a quick ping. Yes, 250 yards to the edge of the wood, so I'm not going to worry about glassing it too much yet, because I wouldn't even see a fallow in this light at that distance. So we shall crack on.
Jason spots some roe, but they're on their toes. Our instructions are to end up at a large oak where, we hope, we'll intercept the deer as they move back to deeper cover. Tip 2 is to get scope ready.
It's always a good idea when you get into these situations to, as soon as you get set up, just get some ranges so there's nothing going to surprise you. Look at your arcs of fire, range where you're potentially going to have to shoot to. There's an old saying with stalking that you'll always have time to wind your scope up, you'll never have time to wind it down, and it really does bear true. Like if we see a deer at 250 yards, you always have more time to shoot that deer than one you see at 20 yards. If you see a deer at 20 yards, it has to be a quick shot. You don't want your scope wound up at 20 power. So if you walk around with your scope set at 6, 7 or 8, and you need to take a shot at 250, usually you'll have enough time to turn it up to make your adjustments.
Unfortunately, we draw a blank. But there is a plan B, a lovely bit of undulating ground near Byland Abbey. That's where a fallow buck catches us all by surprise.
Yeah. A bit later in here.
It's the first deer I've shot in a long time.
That's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, it's just having walked up the first hill I've walked up in quite a few months as well, so lucky I had the quad sticks to negate the heavy breathing. It's like one of those, you see something there and you think, oh no, it couldn't be. That couldn't be a deer. Yeah, it is.
Noise we've been making coming up.
Whew. Thank you.
When's the last time you shot a fallow?
I haven't shot a fallow. It's probably 7 or 8 years. I had a fallow in the crosshairs 2 years ago when I shot a red stag with Daniel in the west of Ireland. The next day had fallow several times in the crosshairs in heavy woodland, but just couldn't get a shot.
You didn't go for a body shot, what was that?
It's a funny one. On a frontal shot like that, it's sort of my preferred shot to go for, just under the chin. People sort of look at the chest as being a bigger target on a frontal shot, but your actual kill zone isn't much bigger than what you have on the neck. Like the chest might be wider, but if you hit this animal sort of on the outside of the shoulder blade there, you'll break the shoulder. The bullet might skirt down, break a couple of ribs, but it's not a fatal shot.
So really your kill zone, if you're going for a frontal shot on the chest, on a deer like this is only about maybe 4 inches. And even though the target looks bigger, the kill zone isn't. And I've seen quite a few deer where people have just put a bullet in sort of here, and it's come out here, hasn't gone into the chest cavity. You just have a broken shoulder and the deer is gone. So you're better, obviously, to take a broadside shot, but in that situation where the deer had already seen us and was looking straight at us, your best shot is to go for under the chin, break the spine. The reason I don't like head and neck shots on deer that are grazing and don't know you're there is the head and neck is always moving. But on a deer like that has just spotted us, they'll look up and they'll keep dead still until they figure out what you are. So it does give you a better opportunity for a neck shot because they're less likely to move, whether they're grazing or just walking. And if you do want to head or neck shoot deer that don't know you're there, give them a whistle, and they'll always, well, 90% of the time, they'll give you that 4 or 5 seconds where they just look up and they hold dead still while they try to figure out what you are, and it'll just give you that few seconds to take a neck shot. It's a funny thing with rifles. The biggest contributing factor to how much I like a rifle is how accurate it is. You sort of look at catalogues and stuff like that, and in the gun shop you pick up the rifles that feel good and that look nice, but when it actually comes to the bones of working with them, you like the ones that shoot best and that give you confidence, because rifle shooting, even though it's not the same as shotgun shooting, but a massive part of how good you are with a rifle or with a particular rifle is the confidence you have in it. When you have confidence in a gun, you just like it.
I don't think you're too rusty, Mr. Doyle.
It's been a really good morning, and it's great catching up with our Ireland correspondent, even in England. To find out more about Ruger rifles or the Leupold kit Jason uses, go to vikingshoot.com or watch him talk through it on our Field Tester YouTube channel.